Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. We got lots to talk about. I think doing a 1 day a week podcast kind of suits me because there's just so much stuff that builds up for me to just talk about on Saturday to kind of unload in 1 hour that I get to spend with you guys. So giving a little bit for people to come in, but just kind of like give you guys, like what's going to happen. We're talking Pixel 6a hype, right? Because we are close to this thing dropping, okay? And we're going to toss in a little bit of discussion about the Pixel Buds Pro. Kind of, just I give my thoughts on it and you guys weigh in on your guys' thoughts, right? We have a discussion on that. I am going to talk about why I've been dropping Visible videos lately. And as the title implies, Visible by Verizon has redeemed. For me, at least it did. I know I don't talk about social media platforms quite a bit, but I'm going to share a slight frustration of mine and compare MeWe to Facebook. And for those who don't know what MeWe is, then this will probably benefit you if you're looking for a social network platform to be on that's, just not full of baloney. And as I implied too, when I posted out to the community about a half hour ago that we were going live here soon, we're going to talk the Pixel 7. There is 3 variants coming out according to sources. And I'm going to give my thoughts about the Samsung OS update versus Google and just kind of pick at it. So heavy Samsung fans are going to hate me after this, possibly. And hey, Sneed, what's going on, man? Good morning. Right. So let's just kind of dive in. I'm going to go in with the I guess what I would feel to some people would be the least important topic, only because, like social media is social media. People have their preferences. They use what they want to use. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this subject, but I am going to kind of talk about it. Ugh, got tongue tied there for a second. MeWe versus Facebook. And for those who don't know, MeWe is a social network platform. A lot of people have referenced MeWe in the last 3 years as the replacement to Google+. So if you were ever on Google+, then you're going to feel at home with MeWe if you try it out. The reason why that I'm actually giving attention to MeWe is because, so I have Facebook. My sister, my brother, my dad, they all use Facebook, right? And a lot of my friends that I have outside of the YouTube tech space, they use Facebook. Facebook has been around for years, right? We've seen the movie, right? The Social Network. We've seen that movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's a good movie, man. It really does kind of show you the birth and growth of Facebook, how it came to be. But yeah, so we use social media every day. We use social networking every day. It's like pick your poison, right? If you're on Twitter, you're on Twitter, right? If you're on Facebook, you're on Facebook. If you're on Snapchat, you're on Snapchat. Like everyone has their preferences, right? Instagram and all those different ones, right? But so like I said, I've been using, I use Facebook. I've been using it for years. I take a break away from it every now and then, and I come back on there to see what family's doing, catch up with their stuff, because it is the more well-known one. More and more people use it. There are people who are going away from it, and as it implies, a lot of people are switching over from Facebook to MeWe. And the reason for that is because Facebook has become a cesspool of just fact-checking BS all the time. Everything you post nowadays has to be fact-checked for some dang reason. The other day, I posted a photo, right? It was of a gas station sign for 7-Eleven, and it said that gas prices per gallon was $7.11. Okay, now it's a meme, if you know what a meme is, or just in layman's terms for those who don't, who don't dig into this generation's lingo. It's just a funny photo, a photo expression to express, comedy. And my post got fact checked. And I'm thinking to myself, and I posted on Facebook. I'm very open with what I say on Facebook. So I don't care if Facebook wants to put me in Facebook jail, if they want to delete my account. Like, have at it, Facebook, because technically I really absolutely don't need it. But I do use it because my family members use it. And I am the guy in the family who goes to my family members and says, hey, there's something better. You should give it a shot. But it's really hard. It's like pulling teeth to get people to understand. Like, I see them complain. Like my older sister, like she has frustrations with Facebook as well. Um, she has frustrations with Facebook as well because my sister has touch point with like very serious subjects, right? I've had her on the podcast before. We've talked about a non-tech issue. Um, I've been rallying behind her when she went out there in the streets in Hawaii and was like, raising awareness towards a certain subject. I had her back through a lot of it. And yeah, she, some of her posts would get taken down from Facebook, or there would just be people who were just like, okay, they want to argue with her on her post. They want to go back and forth in the comments. And if they can't find ground for them to stand on, then they want to go and report her post and, get put in Facebook jail. What's up? What up, Julius? What's going on? So it happens to people, right? But it's like, if you share a particular post that has to do with the subject matter that in, today's light is brought forward, it's like, it's one-sided. One side gets to post what they want. The other side, they get silenced. And it gets really frustrating and really annoying, especially for me, where I like to joke around. I like to make people laugh. So I'll post stuff that I think is funny. And when I post it, and then it has a stupid sign on it that says it's been fact-checked, it was like, And this ain't the first time it's happened to me. It's happened to me before. I posted a photo of AOC. People know who she is. But someone made a meme. And in that meme, it had a picture of her, and then it had a statement that said that she doesn't buy she doesn't get her food from a truck. She gets it from a grocery store, right? Implying the idiocy that, truckers deliver food to these markets and stuff, right? It was just a joke. It wasn't anything like, it wasn't a political stance. It wasn't a political statement. It was just a freaking joke. And then I got fact checked. And then I got a warning. And then it also happened on Instagram too. I got fact checked on Instagram, and Instagram was threatening to take away monetization. And I'm like, for a joke? Like, literally for a joke? What up, Carlos? For a joke. So Instagram hits me with that. Facebook hits me with that. That was the first time. Second time happened when I posted the 7-Eleven with $7.11 per gallon gas. I'll get to that in a little bit, Stride. I'm going in each segment at a time. So, like, people have heard of MeWe, maybe not. People want to know exactly what it is and why it's not controlled like Facebook is. The reason why it's not controlled is because it's crowdfunded, right? So creating a profile on MeWe is free. Uploading photos to MeWe is free. Posting is free. Creating a group like you can on Facebook is free. Creating a page costs. Yes, it does cost money. If you use the direct messaging feature, it's free. If you want a video call like you can on Facebook Messenger, yeah, you have to be a premium member, which is $4.99 a month. And then people will complain, well, that costs money. It's $4.99, like everyone wants everything for free. But this is how a social platform can maintain itself without the need of having, people come in with their money to regulate it, right? It's crowdfunded. If you want something crowdfunded, you're going to have to put your foot in there. You're going to have to throw your hat in the ring. You're going to have to put what you got in the pool. That's the only way you're going to be able to have a social platform that's not going to sit there and fact check everything you post, or they'll have a brain to determine if you are making a political statement or if you're just posting something out of pure fun and comedy. So that's why maybe it costs $5 if you want premium. And if you just want a regular profile and you don't care about video calling with anybody or else or whatnot, then just use the free version. But the point is, for those who have been posting about like Facebook, locking down on specific type of people, Twitter locking down on specific type of people, I can tell you right now, I've been using MeWe for years now. Off and on, I go in and I have post stuff. Some things that I thought that on Facebook would be controversial. MeWe, haven't gotten a single warning. I mean, you just got to reach out to Instagram, dude. But yeah, so I know Julius is friends with me on MeWe. Shouts out to him. I know when I've mentioned MeWe in the past, Gene created a profile. He's friends with me on there. They rarely use it, but I'm gonna say this: if you are wanting to be on social network for one, and you want to be on a platform that's not going to regulate what you say to that extent, as long as you're not cyberbullying, you're not posting anything, anything directly like, illegal, you're going to be fine on MeWe. It is crowdfunded. You could choose to whether you pay for premium or stick with the free plan. The free plan doesn't have ads. They're not going to throw ads on you like every 10 posts or every 5 posts or anything like that. It's just like what they consider certain premium features, like video calling from person to person on MeWe. That's going to, be part of the premium. MeWe, still haven't used it in a while. Yeah, no. I know you added me as a friend on MeWe, Carlos, and then yeah. So, but yeah, being active back on MeWe, and is probably going to be like the best choice in my book. This is just for me now. I'm not saying everyone has to go get MeWe. I'm just saying for me, it's probably going to be the best choice for me to share like what I openly want to share, because I'm not held back on there. I'm not held back at all using MeWe. So I don't know. It sounds like a funny name. But yeah, and it really, really does feel like Google Plus. It really does. There's like really good communities in there so far. Of course, you still get your typical people that are like know-it-alls and want to go and like correct everything that you say. But at least it's not a thing of like, hey babe. It's not a thing of like fact checking. Like I get irritated of seeing that on social platforms. And so, yeah, this is the reason why lots of people are ditching Facebook for MeWe. The ones that want to be able to have fun the way social media was intended to have fun and not have to worry about if I share this meme, if I share this quote, is someone going to fact check me, And I know a lot of people have, like those that have Facebook. I know it's hard to walk away when you've built the following on Facebook. Let me tell people this right now, okay? If you're not interested in being an influencer, if you're not interested in, doing this, if you're not interested in that stuff, but you've built yourself quite a bit of a following on Facebook, like don't be afraid to walk away from it if it agitates you to be there. Like you're only condemning yourself to misery and just frustration, keeping yourself there because you're locked to a specific follower number. Thanks, babe. I appreciate it. She's right there too, by the way. Isn't that funny? Anyways, yeah, let's switch tracks, right? Let's get into Visible has been redeemed by me in my book. The reason why. This is the reason why I've been posting, speed test of Visible. This is the reason why I've been talking about Visible lately. I've been sharing my referral code and stuff like that. Visible has redeemed himself. I did post something in the Facebook group page, and I was just talking about eSIM support, right? And I'm happy that Visible is now supporting eSIM for Androids as well as iPhones. They opened it up first for iPhones, and then the Pixels were able to do it. Now they open up even more with most of the Pixels and Samsung Galaxy devices. So that's actually good. That's actually good in my book. But the real reason that Visible has redeemed itself is in 2 areas. Okay, one, customer support. The last couple times that I've talked with customer support with an issue, they've been on it. Whereas before, they used to play the I don't know game and let's submit a ticket to tier 2 tech support and they'll contact you by email in 2 to 3 business days. They used to do that a lot for very what I would assume to them would be a technical issue, right? So there is one caveat to Visible and their eSIM when you do activate, and that is the possibility that when you first activate on Visible with eSIM, your data connection on their system end would probably be basically set up to provide you the mobile hotspot connection. What that means is that rather than you getting full speeds on your phone, your speeds would be basically capped at 5x5. And being able to talk with Visible support, we'll chat with them basically and explain that, because it's happened twice to me, right? The very first time that I went back to Visible and I used eSIM to activate instead of getting a physical SIM, that happened to me. The rep I talked to, after explaining what was going on, explaining what I've done, she was just like, I know what's going on. A friend of mine told me about this. Let me get it fixed for you right now. And in less than 10 minutes, my speeds had kicked on to where it was supposed to be, right? Verizon has upgraded towers near where I live, so we are picking up C-band. So then I noticed that when I went into Cell Mapper and Signal Check Pro, and both basically gave that I was connected to N77. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, speeds are good. I opened a second line with Visible, and the same thing happened with eSIM. I was caught at 5x5. I got another rep. He was nice. Spoke to him chatted with him for 5 minutes, explained what the first rep did, and he was on point with it. He wasn't like, oh, okay, well, let's do a network reset or any of that stuff. Like, no, he was just like, oh, okay, another rep helped you with a different Visible account. Is that account still active? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, do you have the number to it? I gave him the phone number. He's like, okay, I'm going to send an email to verify you to the email used for that account. Could you verify it? I did that. Once I was done, he was like, okay, let me read the notes. He read the notes. He came back. He was like, oh, I know how to fix it. And boom, in less than 10 minutes, my second Visible line on eSIM was fixed. So why is it that Visible, when you first sign up with eSIM, why is it like putting you on this weirdness where you're capped at 5x5? I couldn't tell nobody. At all whatsoever. What I can say is that the experience with customer support is what ultimately redeemed them in my eyes. Okay. Carlos says, Visible? Nah, bro, I'm good. No domestic roaming agreements and throttle Verizon experience. And on UW, it's capped at 200. And I'd rather have US Mobile. If I do prepaid, it's the same. You get more plan. Yeah, I get what you're saying on that. And I'm not here to tell people to get Visible. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't want Visible, then you don't want Visible. Like, I'm not here to tell anyone what they should be using. But one thing I would say is this, though. And I get right, because I tried out US Mobile. I signed up with them with their 10-day trial on eSIM. And yeah, I know that Visible is throttle. I really do. Okay. And I'm not, if I sound like a dick, I apologize when I say this, but I don't have to have 3 gigabits per second download or 700 megabits per second download for what I do on a daily basis, right? Facebook, Twitter does not really require me to have that much speeds. The cap that Visible has, which, yeah, they say 200 megabits per second. I'm always hitting about 250, between 230 to 250. Okay. And I'm not held back at all whatsoever, right? And comparing what I pay, basically 25 to like 40 something for US Mobile, I'll take the latter. It's not a huge hit for me, Everyone uses their phones differently. Some people require super high speeds, right? I can't say why they do, but then that's where they will utilize it. And that's why we have all these different options instead of having just one option only. And that we can thank the Lord for, right? You can be on any MVNO, any prepaid, on AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile. Doesn't matter. It's what works for you, right? So for me, Visible is not a thing that I would step on with my foot, because where else are you really going to get unlimited for 25, including hotspot? And hotspot is not like there's not a data allotment on hotspot. Yeah, it's 5x5 connection. You're paying 25. You can't hope for full access, hotspot connection at $25. That's going to completely undercut, Verizon postpaid. Even though, like, I know what you're saying, the QCI levels are lower for Visible, right? That is the caveat that you basically take to get a plan at $25 a month. Technically, they're kind of pushing it into that area as you get what you pay for type of thing. They're not going to give Visible customers postpaid access. And I know US Mobile is, to a degree, they are in agreements, but that's why you're paying more for it. So back to that, customer service was one of the reasons. Baby Yoda, what's up? Customer service was one of the reasons that redeemed Visible in my eyes. The other reason, obviously, has been, and it's semi sort of, I guess you could say, would be Verizon on the hand, because technically Visible uses Verizon's network, right? It's not just speed, it's latency that makes it take longer to load. It never takes me any long to load anything. The only thing that I don't do on my phones that I think would affect people with latency is online gaming. And I don't have time to sit around and online game on my phone. No, not when I work, come home, and then, just spend time with my family and stuff like that. Really don't have time to do that. And that's where latency would definitely. And I always try to tell people when I do my videos on Visible and they kind of ask that question, it's like, don't go to this if your main intentions is to game on your phone all day long, because then, yeah, that's not going to work out great. Some games will work. Basic games like Streets of Rage 4 works just fine. No issues at all. No hiccups. Playing like old school Sega Genesis games on my Android phone works. But like if you're like going online gaming, like if I was trying to play Google Stadia and play Immortals Phoenix Rising, yeah, that's not going to work that great. But for where I'm at, Visible is just fine. So like, I think that's also the thing too you got to take in consideration, Carlos. Is like you're in Vegas and I'm here in Phoenix, and although these are two major cities, the way things work here, different. Just like I know, like if and I know this, and I can vouch this. I've gone to Vegas with Metro by T-Mobile, and my network connections there were very spotty, right? And when you guys watch Carlos live stream and talk about T-Mobile and it's trash, it can't do this stuff, right? He's not. If anyone thinks that he's purposely trying to fudge T-Mobile's data speeds when he's testing out there, I can tell you he's not, because I've gone there with my Metro phone lines, and it was spotty. I did a live stream on Instagram that was choppy as hell. I come back to Phoenix, I do that here, and it's booming. It's just fine. So it also depends on areas where you're at. And for some reason here, because one of my coworkers, I was talking to him about Visible, and I explained to him like he has Verizon postpaid, but he says it's too expensive and he was going to leave them. I said, but he really likes Verizon. In the building that we work at, Verizon is the only one that works in there for phone calls, texts, without needing to connect to the company Wi-Fi. And I've told him, like, you can try Visible, but you got to understand something. Visible's not going to have the same access. And I pretty much broke it down to him, but he's smart anyways. So he kind of gets the idea. It's not going to have the same like high speeds that he would get with his Verizon postpaid plan. He understands that. But he also understands that like he doesn't really do a lot on his phone to that degree. So he's not too worried about it. He just wants to be able to pay less and still be able to have phone calls and texts come through without a delay like it does on my Metro phone, which Visible does. People text me, the text comes right away. I text them back, they get it back right away. Phone calls, I get it. It's not choppy, it's not distorted, it's not anything. It's been a long day. So yeah, I would say that's the two areas that Visible has redeemed itself. The network has gotten better in my city, and this also reflects on Verizon postpaid too. So it's not just Visible for that. Verizon postpaid has gotten better in Phoenix. I remember questioning for a while, like if there was something going on at Verizon, because I remember there were people that was on Sneed's podcast and they lived here in the city, and they were like, Verizon is king, and they named places where they did speed tests at. And I would go to those same places when I had Verizon postpaid and would not pick up the same of what they were stating. And it could be in the fact that, Verizon was upgrading towers in my city, because now it's flying. It's like literally flying. It's really good. So, I say it to that, Visible's going to capitalize on it, even though they are lower priority access, they're still going to capitalize on it. And again, $25 for unlimited everything. Like, you got to understand that aspect of it. If you understand you're on prepaid, so you're going to be treated like the Wendy's girl, the redheaded stepchild. If you understand that, then disappointment's not really going to set in with you for Visible. But if you're going to Visible thinking you're going to get everything that Verizon postpaid gets, well, then you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Postpaid is always going to trump over prepaid. There is not one company that is going to invest the best in prepaid to have it surpass their postpaid, because they're only undercutting their own legs. Now we got to keep in mind, we wish for a lot of things. We want everything to be our way, the way that we want it. And that's where we walk to the middle of the bridge and meet in the middle. And there's always a back and forth of where the middle of that bridge is, where the company sees it at, where the consumers see it at. And that's why it fluctuates, but we're never going to have it to where we make the company cross that bridge all the way to our side and do things that we want. Or I would literally say, give me the highest priority access on Visible, right? With uncapped speeds, uncapped hotspot speeds, and I want to pay 1 cent a month. Because that would be my dream cellular plan right there. I'm still paying something. I'm still paying 1 penny for it. but I'm getting it to near nothing right there, right? That would be me. And I know Visible would never compromise to what I want as a prepaid carrier. So, all right. Switching off away from Visible and getting into the Pixel 6a, the Pixel Buds Pro, and the Pixel 7 having 3 different variants. Okay. So first off, with the Pixel 6a, I am hyped for the phone. We're not far away from it launching, and yes, I'm gonna pick up one. Probably not gonna be able to pick up one day of launch. You guys hear me say this all the time. Maybe a few weeks after, maybe around my birthday in August when I hit the big 4-0. One anywhere in that time, I will have it and I will do extensive coverage on it. I'm excited to get it. I've already have it played out of my head which one I'm getting. I'm getting the chalk colored version. I'm gonna do some ample testing on it, right? Performance wise, with the Tensor chip, since it is using an older Sony IMX363 camera sensor, I am going to do some comparisons between the 6 with their 50 megapixel sensor versus the 12.2 wide angle sensor on the 6A. Definitely gonna test out for things that I've noticed with the Pixel 6 and that has gotten better over time, right? Can't really give Google an A+ on that, but I will say that like Google has, corrected a lot of things that were, plaguing a lot of Pixel 6 and 6 Pro users. I was lucky enough to not really have a lot of those issues. Thankfully, I did get one of the well-known bugs for the Pixel 6, and putting the phone on Android 13 beta alleviated that for some odd reason. So that's totally fine. I hope the Pixel 6a and 7 fix overheating issues. This one just recording in 4K 60 frames per second video. It overheats after 5 minutes in this heat. And yeah, it does that for me here too. Realistically, when it's 110 degrees outside, I expect my Pixel 6 to get warm when I am really starting to use that processor. So that's just me. But yeah, if they fix that in the next variations, yeah. I don't really think in the 6A that they may address that to that degree. In the 7, maybe. Who knows? But I'm seeing like a lot of leaked images of the 7, and I already know it's going to be a slippery phone again. Just the way that it looks, the way that the body design looks, the glass on the back of the phone, the way it looks, yeah, it looks already. It's going to be slippery. The only thing that's changed is just the camera bar. The camera bar is cased in metal rather than glass and plastic. It's cased in metal. So that's gonna be an interesting thing. Well, we'll get more into that here in a little bit. But with the Pixel 6a, I'm not expecting for it to like fart rainbows and have unicorns fly out of its ass. I don't expect that stuff. I expect it to just literally be what it's supposed to be. And if it maintains what the A series devices have pretty much gotten people to really kind of look at with them, then I feel like the 6A is going to do just fine. There are a lot of people who are just kind of worried about the 6A because they think it's going to have a botched launch like the 6 did. And they really feel like that, it's going to have bug after bug after bug like the 6 did. Well, we have to think about something here for a second, right? So the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro were plagued with a bunch of bug issues from launch, right? And we're using the same chip, the same version of Android in the 6A, right? The only thing that's really changed was the camera sensor. The camera sensor was degraded back to what's been used since the Pixel 3 and smaller display. So there were certain things that they cut back on to get it at the $449 price tag they're launching it at. However, the optimization of software and the Tensor chip, they've had the time to pretty much fix a lot of the bug issues it would have because they've plagued it in the Pixel 6. Have you had issues with it getting hot and cellular disabling while idling in your pocket? No, I haven't ran into that. I've heard people talk about it. I haven't. And I was actually looking around for that because, on my lunch break, for my hour lunch break, I'm outside. I'm either walking around by the lake. So I figured that would be the best way for me to see if I got it. And luckily, I didn't get it. I don't know. I got to say that maybe I just got lucky with this one that I got from Best Buy. because this one rarely had anything happen to it. Bug wise, issue wise, like I said, there was one bug this got plagued with, and that was the Wi-Fi bug, but that was fixed pretty quickly. Say, my Pixel 6 all of a sudden doesn't connect to Android Auto wirelessly. It has always used it before. I have to plug it in via USB to connect it. It started happening since the last update from about a week ago. Yeah, that's kind of crazy that started happening. And yeah, I agree with a lot of people. I really wish that like when a software update comes out for the Pixel 6, that it just like patches all the bug issues without creating new ones, right? But I'm not in there. I'm not in there in the Google team developing these software security updates or any of that stuff. So I can't tell anyone exactly the reasons why that this keeps happening. But when they fix one thing, it almost seems like they're fighting with a crinkled piece of paper, right? Like it's all crumbly and just like ugly looking and distorted. And when you smooth out one end, it just creates more wrinkles up ahead. And it's like, I feel like that is the issue with basically the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. But I also look at it like this, like Google did a complete different change with the 6 and 6 Pro compared to what they've normally done. And with these issues, I feel like future Pixels will have a much better chance, only because Google could only learn from their mistakes. Whatever happened with the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, I know they're not going to want that to happen with the 6A. I know for sure they don't want that to happen with the 7. And that's where it sits. So yeah, along with the Pixel 6a, we're looking at the Pixel Buds Pro, and I see people posting about it on Twitter and Instagram and such. I'm excited for them too. I definitely want to get a pair. I'll probably get them a little bit later. Yeah, because I still my Pixel Buds A, I still enjoy using them. They sound pretty great too. They sound pretty good. But I'm also a big Skull Candy fan, so I like using Skull Candy. So yeah. Now, different publications are talking about that there are 3 different Pixel 7s coming later this year. As a matter of fact, they've dug into code and found 3 code names for the Pixel 7. So it looks like people are assuming there's a Pixel 7, a 7 Pro, and then they're thinking a Pixel 7 Ultra. And so here's the trend, okay? This is where, like I said in the beginning of this podcast, I'm going to start sounding like a dick right now. Because here's a problem here that I've noticed from a lot. They really, really like, people trash Pixel for getting help from Samsung, from the Tensor chip that they had help building, to using the camera sensor, the 50 megapixel sensor the Pixel 6 has. People kind of trash Google for it. Yet they name stuff that Google's doing with their flagships identical to Samsung. In fact, Person applied, they said Pixel 7, 7 Pro, and what Google Pixel fans have been waiting for a long time, a Pixel 7 Ultra. I'm probably in the top 10% of Pixel fanboys here, and I've never wanted a Pixel Ultra in any form or fashion. Like, the naming just seems so close to Samsung, right? The naming seems so close, right? Because you got the S22 Ultra, you got the S22 Plus, you got the S22, right? So that'd be like the Pixel 7, the Pixel 7 Pro, Pixel 7 Ultra. What I'm thinking this third one could be, possibly, wishful thinking, maybe not, so don't quote me on it and kill me or chastise me in October this year. I'm thinking it's the Fold. The display size they know about, they said that the 7 Pro is going to be like a 6.7 inch display. The so-called Pixel 7 Ultra is a 6.8 inch display. Maybe 6.8 inch display closed? Unfold that bad boy, and what is the display size? And I can see why they wouldn't think it's the Pixel Fold, because it only gave the screen dimensions once. So there's not like a screen dimension like 6.8 inch display and then another screen dimension of like, 8 point something. That would be a real odd looking fold, by the way. Or maybe it's 6.8 inches unfolded, and when you fold it up, point being is it could possibly be the Fold. Or maybe they're doing something completely different, and maybe it's not going to be called an Ultra. But that's one bone I gotta pick with just like, yeah, the whole reporting on it is just weird. It's like you chastise it for getting help from Samsung when Samsung got help from them. Because people got to remember, Samsung is not the leader in Android. I know they make great phones and people love them. People find a lot of use out of them. They do things well with camera department. They do things well, with audio. They do things well in almost every area that a smartphone should. But they're not the leaders in Android. They're not. They're a very strong competitor to Apple and their iPhone, yes, but they're not the leader in Android. And the reason I'm saying that is Samsung had, so the relationship between Google and Samsung is quid pro quo. One hand washes the other, right? There was no way the Galaxy Fold and the Galaxy Flip were going to have Android super optimized for their hardware unless Google made that possible. Okay, and in return for Google helping them make Android optimized for their foldable technology, which they knew was going to be a banger, in return, they helped Google by helping them build the Tensor chip. Yes, Samsung had a hand in it. Doesn't mean that all they did was take an Exynos and slap Tensor on it. No. If you really actually looked into the Tensor chip, you'll understand like Google had a hand into it. And one of the main core focuses of Tensor is AI, right? Samsung just like basically told them how to build it and help them manufacture it. Okay, as simple as that. But the even bigger thing, and this is now subjective. I know people hate that word. It's subjective, okay? But I'm gonna call bullshit bullshit when it comes to like people. I've seen people like post on social media that they will always get the next generation. They've got to have the newest one that comes out. And the same people turning around talking about Google needs to have 5-year support like Samsung. First of all, Samsung devices have not gone beyond 5 years yet to even say that they've told the truth on it. Okay? Not being a Donnie Downer, I'm just stating facts. It had to get to that point. When it gets to that point, right? When it gets to that point, when the S20 is 5 years from now and the S20 is getting the next version of Android, then hooray. Samsung stuck to their word. Like, I can sit here, take a shit in the box and tell you it's going to smell like roses for 5 years. Me telling you that doesn't mean it's going to smell like roses for 5 years. Is anyone else going to open that box and smell my shit? No. That's the analogy I'm going to use here because that's where it seems to be going. Samsung promises 5 years of major software support. I say major because people kind of get confused on that, right? It's not security updates, it's 5 years, they're claiming. But we haven't even crossed that threshold to say that Samsung is doing it, okay? Yeah, Google gets the crap end of the stick of doing 3 years of software support, 5 years of security patch updates. People get angry. They should do 5 years. Especially the ones who I've noticed on social media are talking about they will always upgrade to the next one. If you're always upgrading to the next one and you're using your old device as a trade-in to get the newest one out, what the hell is the point of championing for 5 years of software support when you're not even going to hold the phone for 5 years? Realistically, if there's a guy that I know that's got a phone from 5 years ago that is coming up on social media and plugging away at it and saying they should support for 5 years, I would rally behind that guy because that guy is actually showing like, there's a reason that he's asking for 5 years support out of Google because he uses his phones for 5 years. He doesn't upgrade to the next thing that always comes out. It's flip-flopping. A lot of flip-flopping across the board. It's like, give me longevity. Yeah, I have no intentions of using your phone for the longevity. That don't make sense. When you have a lot of people that's always up for the next best thing, what's the point? 3 years to me is just fine. And this is my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. 3 years, major software support is fine. It's fine with me. Especially when it comes to Google Pixels. Because I know I'm going to find a way to get the next one. The next one that comes out, I'll find a way to get it. I've had help, right? If you guys don't remember, the Pixel 5, I was able to get it because Carlos gifted it to me. That's how I got it. The Pixel 4a, she got it for me as a gift. The 3a, she got it for me as a gift. Like, I tend to want these Pixels. I get them as a gift, or I buy them. Like, I'll go on OfferUp. I'll find ones that I want, and I'll buy them. That's how I get them. So, not part of Team Pixel. Haven't been invited. Don't think I ever will. Not concerned about it. Well, my thing is, 3 years of software support for me is fine. 5 years of security patch is fine. Reason being is because more than likely, by the time my Pixel 6 is 3 years old, it would be a device that I'm using for nostalgic purposes, which means that I'm using it for like 1 week every couple of months. And then it goes back to just being connected to Wi-Fi. It's not in my pocket as a daily driver, right? The Pixel 4 is a nostalgic phone that I use, right? I have it right now. I'm using it in rotation. But it's not one that always stays in rotation. It's one that I will use it for a week, for a couple of weeks. And I'll pop the SIM in the Pixel 5 or into another device of mine, the Pixel 2 XL. I might want to bring that phone out off the shelf and use it for a couple of weeks, and I'll throw the SIM card in there and use it on there. The roots are still there. Like, if you're part of the rooting and development community, it's still there, dude. It hasn't gone anywhere. Go back to XCA; they're still active. All the Nexus devices are still supported on XDA. All the latest, the Pixels, all the way up to the most present, are all supported with the ROM developing community. There's already a couple of ROMs out for the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. Yeah, definitely head back. They have not gone anywhere. But that's the point that I'm saying is this, right? And I could be chastised for this, and hey, I don't care. But it's like when Samsung does something, there's a lot of people that have their lips firmly planted on Samsung's ass quickly. The Samsung can say that they're going to support their phones for 10 years, and people will report it as if it was gospel, as if God etched it on the tablet and gave it to Moses type of thing. We're not even there yet. I'm not saying that I don't believe Samsung's going to do it. But I know I can say it on a live podcast or on a video as full fact truth when Samsung has one of their devices cross 5 years and still get the next version of Android. And honestly, from Kia and other people that have been reporting on this, apparently for some reason, they're not even getting their security updates on time with unlocked models. Apparently with carrier models, they are, right? But with unlocked models, they're not. I don't know what that is. I'm not an expert in that, so I'm not going to go too in depth into that. I'm just saying, like, you watch a company and there's certain behaviors and actions, and you kind of have an idea of what they're doing. And at the end of the day, too, with everyone always upgrading either a year or 2 years from the point that they get their next phone, there's really no point going 5 years. And if you really want to know how detrimental 5 years of major software support is, look no further than Apple. Why do people think Apple does this stuff? Like, they purposely slow down an older device. Or like right now, Apple has a mass exodus, right? iOS 16, and I had to correct myself. So Simple Alpaca talked about that the iPhone 8 didn't get it. It got it. And he even made a video talking about it too. So 16 on the iPhone 8. 16, but limited usage of 16 features on the iPhone 10. 10s, 10s Max got it, and so on forth going up. The iPhone 7 completely shut out, right? And a lot of people were speculating that the iPhone 7 would get another year, right? Because the 6S was getting dropped. The 6S was getting dropped. The original SE was getting dropped from Apple support. So everyone was like, okay, so the 7 and higher, we're going to get the 16. But nope, the 7 and 7 Plus got dropped too. The 8 and 8 Plus supported possibly limited features because it has the same chip as the iPhone 10. And that was the reasoning. And Apple was talking about those reasons with the chip on the reason why there were limitations to the iPhone 10 supported on iOS 16. So it did get iOS 16, but a lot of the new features that iOS 16 brings to, like, you know, the 13, 12, 11, 10s, 10s Max is not going to the 10. That sucks. You know, people wonder why that Apple does these things. They do these things because Apple shot themselves in the foot from the very beginning. And I know iPhone fanboys are going to hate me when I say this, but I'm sorry if you guys can't take the truth. Truth of it being, Apple shot themselves in the foot when they built a really good phone that they were going to support for years. They knew people hearing the longevity of support would get them as potential customers to buy from them. Look how fast people are quickly to believe Samsung in their 5-year support. And look how fast people are trashing Google just for a 3-year support. But Apple also wanted those same people that drunk the Apple Kool-Aid for longevity and software support. They want them to upgrade, right? They can't just base their company and its profitability on new customers coming in buying phones. They need their already current customers to upgrade to the newer phones. Hence the reason why they gave software support that bogged down a lot of the older iPhones. And there's people who are like major iPhone fans that are going to say, if you're still using an iPhone 6, what the hell are you doing? But I mean, when you want to sit there and argue with people on social media talking about that the iPhone is the best phones ever made, then you got to understand too that if it is, and people are buying it and people are loving it so much that they don't feel like they have to go out and buy the next model, that speaks volumes that the phone is well built. So if it's well built, the longevity support, that customer is going to appreciate. But Apple's not going to make their money if he stays on the iPhone 6 for another year or two. They need him to move up and get something newer, right? There's a reason why the iPhone SE is relevant in here within the Apple ecosystem, because there are people who just don't like Face ID. Have you guys read any of the conspiracy theories on Face ID in Reddit? You will laugh your asses off if you were to read that. Yet, yeah, people still prefer Touch ID. And Apple knows to get those people to upgrade, if they just build another iPhone with Touch ID, similar body style to the one that they already have, they are more than likely to say, okay, I've had my iPhone 7 for 4 years now. You know what? I'll go get the iPhone SE 2022. And they'll go in and they'll buy it because it's 5G. It's got the latest Bionic chip from Apple, but it's the same body style they're used to, Touch ID. They're going to go in and get it. You know how you promote the iPhone SE to really get people to buy them next generation? When you release an iPhone SE and SE Plus, right? Because there are still those people who have the iPhone 7 Plus that are kind of teetering like, I will get the iPhone SE 2022, but it's smaller than my iPhone 7 Plus. If they had a Plus model, I'd definitely buy it. And Apple can string along that bacon and make them follow along. The whole point of all this talk is honestly, I feel like 3-year support is a sweet spot because there's not a lot of people that are sticking with their phones for 5 years. There are a good percentage, I would call it at 15%, have like 3, 4, 5-year-old devices still, right? And then there's like a good 15 to 20% on the top that are upgrading every year with every model that comes out. And the ones in between are in that sweet spot area, 2-3 years before they upgrade again. At the 4XL, it's just been bugs after bugs and issues. That's why I still have, yeah, I guess so. But I don't get hung up on bugs. Now, I'll tell you why. Before I close out the podcast, I don't get hung up on bugs, okay? First of all, I gotta say that I'm pretty lucky, but I know one day I'm gonna pick up a faulty device that's gonna be like massively just screwed with bugs, and I know it's gonna annoy me. But I've been lucky so far. But that's just me, right? The other reason I'm not, too concerned with bugs is because I know that they're going to fix it. I know that they're going to do something to fix it, because if not, I know they're not in it for themselves to have a mass class action lawsuit because of selling faulty equipment, right? It may not come back as quick as I wanted to. Like if I spot a bug right now, I would love for them to patch it in less than 10 seconds, but that's not happening. Realistically, not happening. The next security patch will fix it. I'm lucky to have all these different devices to switch to if I really have to, until they fix an issue with a particular phone. But the bug issues haven't. I don't know. I'm just a weird person, I guess. I don't sit and cry on everything that I see. There's bugs that I face, and they're very minor things. That's like, okay, yeah, I can overlook that for now, and I know that Google will fix it later. You know, it's like the Pixel 5 and how the calibration of the camera was off. That wasn't enough for me to sit there, scream, cry, and pull my hair out. I noticed it. Yeah, I was like, dude, fix this. Why is the calibration off? But I still took my photos with it. I just knew if it was slightly this way when it was leveled, then I knew it was leveled. It didn't frustrate me to be like, okay, where was it level again? Was it over here where it showed it was level? Because if I put it here, then the photo was crooked. I adapted. Simple as that. There are some bugs you can adapt to until it's fixed. There are some bugs you just can't. And hopefully you got something around. Everybody is different, right? So the way that I approach mobile technology, the way that I deal with the smartphones that I get, I'm not saying you guys have to do it the same way too. I'm not the freaking golden standard for the supreme tech person. But realistically speaking to a lot of you out there, like, I don't sweat the small shit. I love the subject of 5G connectivity. I think it's awesome, and I'm super interested in it. And I'm learning about it every day through reading, watching videos, discussing it. I'm picking it up. But I don't do anything at all that would mean for me to have gigabit per second speed. Now, if I bought one of those communicators like in Star Wars where I can project a hologram of myself to like family in Hawaii, I know that's going to require gigabit per second speeds. And then I'll give a shit about it to that degree where I have to have it. But right now in my daily life, I don't. So if a speed doesn't reach 1 gig or 700 megs down and 300 megs up, it doesn't kill me. I'm not going to cry about it. You know, the network is building out. They haven't stopped building. If they've stopped upgrading towers and stopped building things, yeah, then I would be a little bit worried, like, oh, shoot. So these places are going to be well covered and mine isn't, type of thing. They're building out always. Then at the same time, they'll get to where I'm at. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much all that I have for today. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Those that chimed in and everything like that, like Carlos, thank you for being here and stating your thoughts and opinions. Same with Baby Yoda. We also had Chad up in here too as well. Steve was in here. Gene was in here. Thank you guys so much. And again, if you guys are interested in MeWe, you guys can find me on MeWe. Just look for me on there. I'm on there if you guys join up. And yeah, I already have group pages on there too. The same that's on Facebook. I have the same groups on MeWe as well. And hopefully my family will see the lights and say, hey, yeah, we're tired of this Facebook crap too. So yeah, because if my family all migrated over to MeWe to get away from Facebook and its stupidity, believe you me, my Facebook profiles would all be gone in a second. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Y'all take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your weekend as I'm going to enjoy mine.